Imagine a future where humanity isn't just confined to Earth. We're living across the solar system, maybe even beyond. Now, here's a truly mind-bending question. What would we eat? Forget freeze-dried astronaut ice cream. What happens when our culinary imagination truly adapts to alien worlds, to entirely new physics and biospheres? Today, we're taking a deep dive into Gastronautica Volume 2, Planetary Gastronomy and Terraforming Recipes for the Multiplanetary Palate by Philip Randolph Lillian. This isn't your grandma's cookbook. Well, unless your grandma is planning a colony on Jupiter.
Right. And Lillian's core premise in this book, it's really that as humanity expands, our culinary imagination must evolve. It's not just for survival, but it needs to be uniquely attuned to local conditions, gravity, atmospheres. It positions food not merely as fuel, but as a language, an active adaptation, and a vital ritual that helps forge identity out there in the stars. It's really about how memory, culture, and celebration express themselves through food in artificial or even entirely alien biomes.
So, our mission today is to unpack how food evolves across these incredibly diverse planetary environments. We're talking Martian soil-grown produce all the way to interstellar relativistic meals. It's a shortcut, really, to understanding some truly surprising facts and profound insights into the cosmic menu of tomorrow. Let's dive in. Okay, we're going to begin with the red frontier. Mars. Once a god of war, Lillian paints it as transforming into the patron of culinary adaptation. It's a red world, birthing new traditions, textures, tastes, all under what's described as a salmon sky. So when humans first arrive, what staples could we possibly cultivate there? I mean, to sustain ourselves.
Well, in those early Martian colonies, the crucial step is growing crops in specially treated Martian regolith simulants. These aren't just barren dirt, you see. They're enhanced with earth-imported bacteria and carbon-rich mycocompost, all inside these self-sustaining domes. From these dome farms, Lillian describes specific staples like Martian melons. They're water-rich, low-light melons bred for subterranean growth cycles. Then you have red dust lentils, engineered legumes designed to actually metabolize Martian perchlorates, those tricky salts in the soil, and fix nitrogen in closed-loop systems.
Wow, so they're essentially cleaning the soil as they grow.
Exactly, cleaning the soil with your lunch, pretty much.
That's an ingenious solution. What other crops are foundational to Martian life then?
We also find terraform taters, which are high-starch tubers with deep skin pigmentation. They're rich in radiation-resistant anthocyanins. Think of it like built-in sunscreen for the potatoes. And of course, CRISPR kale, leafy greens, bio-edited for Martian temperature swings and UV shielding. What Lillian truly highlights here is that Martian food isn't just about sustenance. It's a bioengineered tool, actively shaping and adapting both the planet and the colonists themselves.
Okay, so we have the staples that sustain life, but how does this translate into actual recipes? I hear there's something called Martian melon medley with red dust dressing. What does that even taste like?
Well, the book describes that medley as using edible iron flakes for textural grit and planetary flair. That's a little crunch, I guess. And for a more substantial meal, you can imagine terraform tuber tacos. They're made with a reconstituted Mars tortilla base printed with spirulina flour. And the queso, get this, it's AI-generated from quantum-curdled protein dust.
AI-generated queso. It's truly food designed for an entirely new world. The creativity is undeniable. And for dessert, what's on the menu?
For dessert, you might enjoy Polar Ice Creme Martian Moon Dust Gelato. This is made from recycled water ice from the North Pole domes, freeze-crystallized algae milk, and something called ground basalt sugar. And the mythology behind it is lovely. Martian children apparently say it tastes like the feeling of watching two moons rise at once.
Oh, that evokes such a vivid image.
Yeah, it's a perfect example of how the food ties directly into the unique environment and the local folklore that develops.
And it's not just the food itself, right? It's the rituals built around it. Lillian details things like dust breaking, which is this evening ritual of cleaning your books and sharing bread, telling stories of survival and hardship. Then there are rehydration ceremonies, these symbolic acts of combining dry ingredients into morphed meals, which mirrors the dream of terraforming Mars itself.
Exactly. It's about building a uniquely Martian culture around necessity, around shared experience. And as Mars transitions, hopefully, into a more terraformed planet, the ingredients will naturally evolve further. Researchers project future Martian blue wine from genetically tinted grapes grown on crater rims. And invertebrate farms think cricket colonies and mycoworms becoming core protein streams.
Cricket tacos, maybe?
Could be. This progression really demonstrates food's evolution beyond mere survival, becoming deeply integrated with planetary identity. Okay, now let's shift our focus a bit over to the moon. Lunar cuisine, as Lillian describes it, is a whole gastronomic language defined by low gravity, just 1/6 of Earth's,
Right.
so plus the high contrast environment and the profound presence of Earth hanging overhead. The unique physics of low gravity fundamentally reshape culinary fundamentals. Liquids bead up and drift.
Right, but don't pour.
Exactly. Aromas disperse slowly, but they can actually intensify locally. And textures become absolutely critical. The tongue becomes maybe more important than the fork. Food has to be designed to respond to motion and, crucially, adhere to itself.
So how do chefs possibly handle challenges like that? You can't just pour a bowl of soup, like you said. What ingenious solutions does Lillian describe?
Well, Lillian introduces some amazing concepts, like moondrop noodle globes. These are gelatinized soba spheres with embedded lunar water ice suspended in levitating trays. Imagine that, ramen you can bite without needing a bowl.
Wow.
And then there are regolith-crusted lunar cheese tarts. They have a crunchy spirulina ash waker crust, and it apparently flakes beautifully in low gravity, crumbling into slow drifting particles.
That sounds like an artistic performance more than a meal. It sounds beautiful.
It often is, according to the book. Another ingenious creation is the Eclipse Black Bean Constellation Bowl. It's designed to unravel slowly when you agitate it, revealing constellation patterns, often served during partial eclipses, turning dining into a kind of celestial event.
Incredible.
And to achieve this level of precision, lunar kitchens are engineering marvels. They use tools like gyroscopic spatulas to maintain orientation while flipping food midair,
You'd need that.
and magnetic induction domes to stabilize liquid phase cooking. The key takeaway for lunar cuisine is how the extreme environment doesn't just dictate survival, it actively inspires entirely new forms of culinary art and dining experiences.
And the rituals are just as unique, it seems. Lillian describes Earth light suppers. Apparently no artificial lighting is used, only Earth's glow filtering through translucent dome ceilings. Must be quite atmospheric.
Very. And then there's zero-G communion, a meal shared while floating. Diners pass tethered bite globes by hand. It really grounds the human experience, strangely enough, in this alien environment.
Okay, from the red soil and the silent moon, we're now soaring out to Jupiter. Here, there's no solid surface, right? Human presence exists only in these floating habitats suspended in the upper layers of its swirling atmosphere. Given this, I mean, how on a gas giant do you even begin to cultivate food?
Ah, Jupiter. Yeah, Lillian delves into the concept of sky farming technologies in Jupiter's high-altitude biomes. This involves things like atmospheric nutrient cycling, which harnesses ion-rich gases from the atmosphere itself to fertilize root matrices suspended in anti-gravity trays.
Wow, pulling nutrients right out of the air.
Pretty much. You also have heliophile spirulina towers absorbing filtered sunlight and these incredible float vine arrays. They yield fruit clusters adapted to cling, twist, and drift gently in these sort of vertical orchards. Crops here have to be incredibly robust, resistant to constant pressure shifts and turbulence.
So, with these extreme conditions as the backdrop, what kind of signature Jovian recipes emerge from this?
Well, Lillian talks about gas foam gougères, which are described as compressed flour foamed with hydrogen-filtered air, and they're filled with something called Jovian microcheese.
Foamed flour.
And then there are ammonite honey noodle cyclones, these spiral starch noodles with a vortex-thickened broth and fermented ammonite honey. Apparently, they create glowing tendrils when drizzled. It's truly food designed for a world of perpetual motion.
That's wild, a food that actively glows.
And then there's cloud pearl caviar. These are gelled air bubble spheres eaten with electrosensory utensils. These utensils deliver a subtle electrical charge to awaken taste nodes.
You're kidding, electroforks.
Seems like it. It's not just about the bizarre ingredients, but the unique biochemistry. Jovian ingredients contain ion-stabilized amino chains and paste-extending enzymes.
Yeah.
These make small bites last longer in perception, which, helps reduce waste in such a constrained environment.
That makes sense. Efficiency is key.
Exactly. So the key insight here is how such an extreme environment drives bioengineering, not just for nutrition, but for entirely new sensory experiences and hyper-efficient consumption. Now, let's explore something really fascinating. Terraforming cuisine. This begins with the profound premise that food itself is the first step in planetary genesis. Like, the very act of eating helps create the world. Nutrition is engineered to survive unstable environments, crafted amidst the transition from barren to blooming. Lillian calls it liminal cuisine, blurring the lines between barrenness and a burgeoning ecosystem.
That's a truly revolutionary idea that the food you eat helps create the world around you. Lillian gives examples of early transitional meals, right? Like volcanic vent root stew.
Yes, which is slow-heated via proximity to geothermal vents, making use of the planet's own raw energy.
And first soil nut cakes, flash heated with directed plasma arcs. This sounds like cooking from the very core of a new world.
It really does. And Lillian's book takes this concept much further in Chapter 11. Food becomes biosphere packets. These are designed to actively prepare, stabilize, and even seed planetary ecosystems from the inside out. Every dish contains latent information, engineered spores, and even harmonics tuned to activate ecological transformation.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. This takes the concept to a whole new level. Imagine crust bloom pie, where the outer crust flakes off in the wind, distributing spores across barren terrain to initiate topsoil microfilament webbing. So you eat the pie, and the pie literally plants a forest.
Essentially, yes, or help start one anyway.
And then there are core seed rations, where encapsulated gene-driven seeds pass through colonists unchanged,
Yeah.
literally making the eaters walking terraformers. You become a living part of the planetary engineering.
It's an incredible concept. And Lillian also details the ceremonies that emerge around this. He describes spore toasts, these drinkable elixirs that release terra seeds via your breath vapor. So these aren't just symbolic rituals. They are functional ecological events. The overarching insight from this section is that Lillian posits food as a literal blueprint for planetary creation. Every meal carries the genetic and ecological instructions for a nascent world. It truly blurs the line between consumption and cosmic engineering. Okay, let's talk briefly about orbital habitats, a different kind of constraint. These are described as ecosystems in a shell, where food systems are designed for total nutrient recycling, absolute efficiency. We're talking algal photobanks providing oxygen and biomass and air condensate hydration, harvesting water from the air. Every ingredient is modular, designed for zero-waste flavor engineering. Its elegance born from constraint, focusing on sustainability above all else.
So with no gravity to help, how does dining actually occur in these orbital outposts? What kind of unique preparations are there still need to eat?
Right. Lillian introduces concepts like spin ring ramen orbs. These use elastic starch sleeves formed into spheres. You're meant to bite them to release a flavor burst.
Yeah.
And you use microgravity slurping via spiral straws.
Spiral straws.
Okay.
I think
And how about a zero-G tapas constellation? These are protein puffs and molecular flavor cubes arranged in 3D layouts. They're meant to be eaten in a rotating dome that simulates a bit of gravity, or maybe just for orientation. It's dining as architectural design.
that's a fascinating way to make a meal interactive and engaging in zero-G. Keeps things interesting.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And then there are nutrient mist elixirs. These are condensed vapor sprayed into the mouth via a pressure-activated flavor veil, consumed without chewing.
No chewing needed.
Apparently not. It's described as like a gravity-free cognition boost. Quick, efficient delivery. And Lillian explains how food in orbital outposts is engineered not just for nutrition, but for neurological balance too. Things like specific bitter umami pairings are used to stabilize serotonin flow during extended isolation. And color-coded bites help regulate circadian confusion through visual cues, trying to keep the body clock in check.
So food becomes medicine almost.
In a way, yes. The core takeaway here is that food becomes a neurochemical compass, carefully calibrated to keep astronauts psychologically and physiologically balanced while floating in the void.
We've traveled from Mars to the Moon to Jupiter to terraforming worlds and orbital outposts. An amazing tour already. But Gastronautica Volume 2 doesn't stop there, does it? It touches on even more incredible culinary adaptations across the cosmos. It really demonstrates the breadth of this imaginative future Lillian envisions.
Oh, the sheer diversity in his imagination is incredible. Let's do a quick whirlwind tour. On Venus, you have Venusian culinary alchemy, pressure-crafted dishes from a world of dense air and corrosive winds, like supercritical steep root mosaic steeped in supercritical koyuro. Just imagine the textures.
Hard to even picture.
Then in the asteroid belt, we find mineral cuisine, drawing nourishment from carbon, ice, and silicates. Imagine ferro-crusted pulse cakes, baked in magnetic ovens for crust formation, using magnetism to cook. Then there are the outer moons and cryo-cuisine, coaxing warmth from coldness. Think Europa ice soul soup with bioluminescent kelp, designed to induce internal warmth and euphoria. Eating light, almost.
Bioluminescent soup.
As we venture into interstellar gastronomy, food adapts to light ship travel where time bends. There's the concept of a time-fold loaf, with each band fermented at different subjective time rates. So Lillian suggests each bite contains a memory of a different
A
decade.
bite that spans decades. That's truly mind-bending. Just wow.
And then there's bioadaptive cuisine, food that actually responds to the eater. Concepts like cognivore cells that pulse according to your thought patterns.
Food that reads your mind.
Sort of. And symbio soup that changes color and flavor based on the diner's emotional signature. It's a literal dialogue between consciousness and cuisine. And finally, perhaps the most ambitious concept, multi-species feasting. This involves designing communion across vastly different bodies and consciousnesses. How do you share a meal with an energy being, right?
Right.
So sentient stew, for example, forms into different states simultaneously: solid, liquid, gas, plasma. This allows each species to access its compatible layer. It's described as an act of cross-species diplomacy.
Food as diplomacy. Incredible.
The collective insight from these far-flung culinary concepts is that food transcends mere nutrition. It becomes a medium for experiencing history, memory, even different timelines, essentially turning dining into a form of consciousness expansion and interspecies communication.
Which brings us, fittingly perhaps, to the ultimate culinary concept in Lillian's book, The Feast at the End of Time. It's described as a convergence of all beings, all times, all flavors. A meta-harmonic convergence. Sounds epic.
It really does. Lillian describes this final banquet as using time crystalline cuisine, food structured as chronocrystals that defy linear decay, never aging. These meals exist, theoretically, in all eras simultaneously, yet are eaten only once.
And talk about ingredients. There's omega pudding, which supposedly contains dark energy condensed into flavor essence, and ancestral molecular samples from every species known.
Yes, and the author notes that the eater perceives the entirety of galactic history through mouthfeel alone.
Perceiving history through taste.
And for what comes after, Lillian introduces hyperseed loaves with quantum-coherent grain, where each slice leads to a different timeline of life potential, eating possibilities. And the last ember soup, with soul dust from collapsed stars and memory nodes from vanished civilizations, its warmth apparently increases as entropy approaches totality, a final comfort.
And the guest list. Extraordinary. Ancient civilizations dissolved into data fog, post-organic minds, future intelligences yet unborn. Lillian reinforces the idea by saying you are already there, which is quite a thought.
It is. This section truly pushes food to its ultimate conceptual limit, where it becomes a bridge to existence, consciousness, and history itself.
What an incredible journey we've taken through the future of multiplanetary gastronomy based on Lillian's work. It's far more imaginative than anything I could have ever conceived.
Yeah, this deep dive truly shows that food is far more than just sustenance, isn't it? It's a profound expression of culture, an act of adaptation against incredible odds, a vital ritual of identity, a sophisticated tool for planetary engineering, and even, as we saw, a form of diplomacy across species and time. It reminds us that wherever humanity ventures, it brings with it not only oxygen and water, but flavor, ritual, and story.
Absolutely. The deep dive revealed that food can be a language, a ritual, and even a blueprint for planetary creation. So here's a thought for you, listening right now. What does this tell you about the power of what you choose to put on your plate here on Earth today? And if every meal is a symbol, what story are you telling with yours? We hope this deep dive into planetary gastronomy has given you a fresh perspective on the future of food and perhaps a new way to look at your next meal. What stands out to you from this cosmic menu? We'd love to hear.